Hi, everyone. I can see some folks just entering. We're going to give people a couple minutes and then we will get started with Debbie. We're going to give people just another minute here. But while we have some of our folks here, I just want to go over a couple quick FAQs before I hand it over to Debbie. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Max. I'm here with my colleague Caitlin Weiler from the Northwestern Alumni Association. We'll begin shortly, and we're so pleased that Debbie could join us for this webinar. But first, those couple housekeeping items. If you do have any questions now or during the presentation that you'd like to ask, please feel free to use the Q&A or the Ask Your Question box on the left-hand side of the webinar dashboard. Just type in your question and hit send. We're going to keep an eye on those and ask a few of them at the end of this presentation. We'll try to get to as many as we can. We'll also find some great resources included in the top tabs of the webinar platform. Please feel free to view that information at your leisure. And if you do have any technical issues during the call, please look at the technical issues tab to see if your question is there. Most issues can be resolved simply by refreshing your browser. And finally, we will be sending out a link to the webinar and a post-event survey to all registrants a week after the talk. And I'm very pleased to introduce Debbie Brin Leon. She is a human capital leader with over 18 years of experience in various business roles. She spent a majority of her career as a trusted HR business partner, and currently she is a talent coaching director at RSM US LLP, a professional services firm. Her coaching is centered on relationship building, meeting each client where they are, and asking powerful questions to help her clients step more fully into their ideal future selves. She's a certified professional coach with the International Coaching Federation, and she obtained her professional certified coach credentials through Coactive Training Institute. Debbie, this is great. We're so happy to have you here.
Terrific. Wow. Thank you everyone for joining and taking time out of your busy day. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is for you. I see we already have over 60 of you joining today, which is terrific. And I know many of you are planning to watch the replay. So hello to you all. I'm so honored to be here and for us to be sharing this space together as we kick off 2025 to focus on your goals and really what's important to you professionally and personally. As you probably know from the registration, January is National Mentoring Month in the US. And when Caitlin and Max reached out to see if I'd be willing to lead this presentation, I was so honored. So kudos for investing time in yourself, and together, let's dive in and we will discover your best future self through coaching, mentoring, and sponsoring. So on the next slide, just to give you an agenda to set expectations on what we're going to call covered together on today's call. We're going to start out with some brief introductions just to get to know a little more about who's on, and then we'll discuss the benefits of mentoring. A lot of times individuals don't know where to look or where to start when they want to find the right mentor. So we're going to break that down and give you some tangible steps and actions that you can take away immediately. Then we're going to discuss the differences between mentoring and sponsoring. Those probably get tossed around quite a bit and interchangeably, and they're not always the same. Then we're going to touch base on some mentoring best practices. You don't need to recreate the wheel. And we'll have a few polls and open-ended questions throughout the content as well. So please interact, stay engaged, add any questions that you have in the Q&A. And I'm looking forward to your active engagement. We'll also have some time at the end for some Q&A. So please feel free to add those questions in the Q&A. Depending on timing, we'll likely get to those towards the end. So here we are, introducing ourselves. It would be great to hear from you in the chat so we can get a sense of who's joining today's session. There's 3 things that I would love to hear from you. If you could get into that Q&A and share your name, the city where you're located today, and also describe what you want for yourself in 2025. It can be one word or a sentence. This is confidential to myself and the presenters and the panelists from NU. So you don't have to worry about other people seeing it. It will be confidential, but we're just looking to get a sense of what it is that you want, whether that's a certain goal, a promotion, more sleep, whatever it is. Be honest what you're looking for that you think a mentor may be able to help you seek.
And everyone, just a quick clarification. Actually, I apologize. If you could use the Q&A box instead of the chat, it makes it a lot easier for us to see. So thanks for using that.
Terrific. I'm seeing a number of responses come through. We've got people from all over. We got the Midwest. We've got Texas, from different programs as well. More Chicago in the house. I love it. Some focus on career progression, growing leadership skills, promotion. Really, it seems to be across the board. Exploring career options and growing professionally, growing my practice. Someone wants to get their yoga instructor certification. That's phenomenal. I really deeply appreciate the variety here, and that's really meant to be illustrative, why we're reaching out, because mentoring can be successful for anyone, no matter what your goals are professionally or personally. There's no right or wrong reason that you can seek a mentor. What's important is that you stay true to you and your aspirations and what you are looking to navigate and to accomplish, or what you want more of for yourself. So thank you so much for sharing your perspective. And so glad to have you all on the call. As Max mentioned, I'm Debbie Brin Leon, and I'm joining from Chicago today. I'm a 2013 MBA graduate from the Kellogg School of Management, and currently an internal leadership coach at RSM. I think there was a question there in the Q&A just around what coaching meant, and I did want to spend a little bit of time on that too, because when Max and Caitlin reached out about mentoring, I thought it was important that we infuse a little bit of coaching in today's presentation as well. So in my job as a leadership coach, I partner with my clients in a different way than they may partner with other people in their life professionally and personally. A coach doesn't necessarily give advice or teach. Instead, what they do is they partner with the client in asking really powerful questions and helping them unlock what they already know. So a coach is going to hold a mirror up. They're going to help you better see yourself, maybe look at things from a different perspective, and allow you to see further, allow you to reach your potential, to flip your mindset, and to reach your goals and have more fulfillment in life. And so what I want for all of you in 2025 is to bring a coach-like approach to more of your interactions, including mentoring. So if we segue to the next slide, we'll get our juices flowing here and start to reflect on our current versus future selves. So what do I mean by bringing in more of a coach-like approach? As you can see here, it's really about bringing in more reflection, more powerful questions, building self-awareness, and shifting behaviors so you can reach your full potential. So, as you scan these questions here, these are questions a coach might ask you. And these are questions you can start asking yourself. You can ask your mentor or your mentee in order to reach your goals in a different way than just asking for advice. So these questions are grounded on helping you better see yourself. For example, what's worked for you throughout your career that you want to maintain in the future? You've got some values or some core aspects of who you are as a person or how you show up that you can tap into and learn from those experiences. You can also think about what holds you back from stepping into your future self? Are there certain behaviors or mindsets, maybe stories you're telling yourself that aren't serving you in showing up how you really want to show up and having the influence you would like to have, whether it's at work or personally? Also, think about what new relationships, leadership behaviors, knowledge, or skills will you take on as you welcome your future self. So, a bit of a start, stop, continue type exercise to help you start thinking more coach like in how you can reach your aspirations and accomplish more. So, let's transition to the next slide. And here I've got some quotes that show mentoring is found and needed in all careers. I actually had a personal contact from the Northwestern community notice the information sent out about this registration, and she wasn't sure if it was meant for her or not. She mentioned she wasn't in the private practice and just wasn't sure, if it was applicable. And I'm so glad she reached out because the reality is, as you can see here, mentoring is relevant for all of us, whether you're famous or not, early in your career or nearing retirement, across all industries, sectors, if you're a student, an alumni, if you have goals that you're looking to pursue or something that's important to you, mentoring can be an important piece to helping you unlock and reach that potential. And I think these quotes are amazing because it gives us hope that we can see what we're capable of, perhaps even beyond what we already see in ourselves through the help of a mentor that can shift and widen that perspective. Mentors will help us see paths, break down possibilities, and even cheer us on during that journey of exploration and growth to becoming our future self. So I just wanted to highlight this quote here from Steven Spielberg. It reminds us that mentoring is allowing the mentee to really create their own magic for themselves, right? Which we may not always remember. But it's so important that we look at mentoring not necessarily as telling someone exactly what to do or, telling them the exact steps that we took, but instead, based on experience, the mentor can share possibilities and stories and ask powerful questions. But most importantly, realize that it's up to the individual, the mentee, to find their way and trust that they have the answers themselves and that they're empowered to choose their way forward. So just needed to share these. I always love hearing what people across different fields have to say when it comes to mentoring and to really, validate for you. Mentoring can make a difference for you, no matter where you are in your journey, where you work, what your industry is. Thank you for showing up, and this can be a game changer for you. So let's move into our first poll. Would love to hear from you about what experience you've had with mentoring relationships. So take a moment and fill it out, whatever your experience has been, whether it's as a mentee, a mentor, both, or if you're brand new. Everyone's welcome. Just looking for a pulse on where we are. How's it looking, Max?
Getting great feedback, almost 80 responses. So thank you, everyone. We're gonna share these responses in the chat in just a moment.
Terrific. Nice. Thank you, everyone, for sharing where you're coming from. It looks like we have a mixed group across the board, which I love that there are people showing up at all different ranges of experience. It looks like the vast majority that responded have experience with both as a mentee and a mentor. Some are brand new, and then we've also got some folks that have been a mentee only or a mentor only. And I really appreciate this because I want to make sure we can provide information that's relevant for you throughout this webinar. So we'll try to hit on both the mentee and the mentor perspective, recognizing that you're all coming from different angles here. Terrific. So, right, if you've come from both experiences or you're looking to seek both, you're probably wondering, what are the benefits of mentoring, right? What can I get out of this? What's in it for me, whether I'm the mentee or the mentor? And typically, the mentee benefits are the more obvious, right? Or the ones that might come to mind when we're thinking about mentoring relationships. But oftentimes, the benefits of the mentor are overlooked or may not even be recognized by the mentee. So it's really important that we recognize it's a two-way street and that both partners in the relationship are truly going to benefit and walk away being stronger leaders from these relationships. I'm not going to list off everything across this slide here. You will be able to look back at it when the replay comes out if that's important to you. But let's just highlight a few of these benefits. So, as the mentee, you've probably realized that one of the greatest benefits is receiving advice, guidance, and that safe space where you can ask questions and be able to explore and have a perspective of a mentor that may have walked a similar path than you or have the skills that you're looking to advance, which is terrific. And there's also an opportunity for the mentee to recognize his or her potential. Maybe it's improving self confidence or self awareness by learning with the mentor, having that safe space and that connection, where they can ideate and try new things and explore with someone. Really, it's going to help them better understand their strengths and past experiences so they can reach their future aspirations. The list really goes on and on, as you can see here, and I'm sure most of you have experienced yourself as mentees. But let's also look at the mentor side, since you come with both sides of the house of experience and are probably looking to get involved in both capacities as well. One that really resonates with me is the opportunity to develop and practice a more personal style of leadership, right? For a lot of folks, becoming a manager or a leader or being able to have difficult conversations, right, that can be a tricky transition to make, or even just flexing your leadership style if you are taking on a new team or leading a new project. The mentor is able to flex their own skills and focus on who they want to be. It's a safe opportunity for them to practice, and they can focus on different things, whether it's listening, empowering others, leading and helping someone self discover their own solutions, and more. Right? It's a special relationship that can build their confidence and allow them to play a little bit in the sandbox so they can be even more effective in their day to day jobs or in their personal relationships. So I would love to hear a few more benefits of mentoring. If you could pop it in the Q&A, what other benefits come to mind if you could list whether it's for a mentee or a mentor and the benefits that you've experienced or are thinking of? So there's a really interesting response here. Every time I've mentored somebody, I find it self-reflecting. I've definitely experienced that too, right? You're putting yourself in that person's shoes. You're thinking about your own journey, probably how you can show up as a better leader. There's always something, like I say, as a coach or a mentor, I'm learning so much from the people that I get to share these relationships with about myself and about others. A lot of self reflection for sure. Wow, so many great responses here. Increased job satisfaction. Who doesn't want more of that? Holding accountability, less stress. Man, how awesome would 2025 be if all of us could walk away with less stress? Feeling better about myself when I help someone else and share my experience. Yeah, it's all about giving back. And developing long-lasting professional relationships. Wow. Yeah, and you never know, right? how your words or your actions are going to influence someone or help them along in their journey, knowing that you have that relationship and that you can count on each other. That's what it's really all about. Oh man, you guys have amazing benefits here. My mirror is always two-sided. I love that. Yeah. Look forward, look back, look at yourself, look at the other person. So many possibilities here. Oh, there's also an interesting one about understanding office and company culture if you're a remote employee. So that could help drive some more connection, and related to that other comment on job satisfaction and just bridging more of a community. This is excellent. Thank you guys for being so active and sharing your experiences and building on, right, these ideas I've shared here. It's phenomenal to hear just the span of what you can gain, whether you're a mentee or a mentor. So if we haven't convinced you yet, it is well worth it to invest in these mentoring relationships, both as a mentee and a mentor. In fact, that's something I think is important that we chat on for a bit. I am of the philosophy that everyone should always be a mentor and have a mentee at a given point in time, right? Have that reciprocity, be able to give and take, and to have that opportunity to self-reflect from both vantage points so that you can give as well as receive. So thank you again for your great participation. We've got another poll here, if we can advance to the next slide. So I would love to hear what's your primary goal and desire for seeking out mentoring relationships. The first few options here, right, may be more relevant to a mentee, but also might be more relevant to a mentor, whether it's wanting to switch jobs or careers, wanting to be promoted or navigate something internally. I'm looking for some type of guidance, maybe on further development or whatnot. Looking for more work-life balance, looking to continue or become a mentor to improve your impact and effectiveness. Or if it's something else, feel free to select that last option and enter the goal that you're thinking about in the Q&A. We want to be inclusive, so if there's another idea that you've got that you don't see here, we would love to hear it. And this gives us a sense of where you're all coming from and if there's any patterns or themes we may have across the group. How's it looking, Max?
Yeah, great participation. Again, thanks everyone for being so engaged. We've got about 60 responses, and I'm going to share these in the chat as well.
Terrific. All right. Got a nice blend of responses here. Thanks again for taking a minute to share. It looks like our top response is around wanting to switch jobs, careers, or industries, about 30% of you. And then we've got splits really across the house on all these other areas, which is great. And then we've also got a handful of you that mentioned other. I'm just going to scan those to see if there's any themes, that we're hearing there. Looks like there's a theme around communications or how we show up, how we interact at work. Also a theme around giving back, volunteering, whether it's with underserved communities or helping younger folks navigate getting into college or various processes. Awesome. Yeah, I truly appreciate just the realm, right? This spectrum of what mentoring can touch on. And there's no right or wrong answer, as you can see here. These are all valid, meaningful opportunities where you can connect with others and share together, learn together, unlock possibilities to help you reach those goals or help others reach their goals and aspirations that they have for themselves. The truth is, right, mentoring can be a game changer no matter what it is that you're focusing on, how big or small that might be. Just having the ability to bring someone else in and get their perspective may just be the secret sauce to helping you get where you're trying to go. Terrific. So let's advance to the next slide so we can start to dig in here, right? I mentioned you would be getting some tangible steps and some actual ways that you could go about bringing this to life and doing it more effectively so that you can have deeper relationships to help you meet those goals that you're setting for yourself. So it's, really important that we break it down how to find the right mentoring partner. And I've thought about it in two different parts. The first part is clarifying your needs and your vision, what it is that you're actually seeking mentorship for. And then we'll also explore the second part, which is gathering and reviewing mentor options. So this first part here is really about getting clear on what you want in your personal and or professional life, right? You've got to boil it down and be able to be vulnerable and share what it is that you either want more of or that you're trying to accomplish or that you're after. And this can be short term or long term, but really being able to articulate what it is that you're hoping a mentor may be able to help you shift perspective on or help you reach your goals around is super important. So if you haven't spent time self-reflecting and getting more clear on this, I really encourage you to do so, right? If you don't know what you're after, how will you know if you found the right person or if you've been successful? And don't be afraid to start with something small or to take a baby step, right? You can always add more goals over time, but it's important that you have a clear vision on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So I would recommend paying attention to your aspirations and your goals, the ones that you commented on in the poll, can definitely be a starting point. Or if you've got maybe a bite-sized step to get there that's more important to you, that could work as well. And then look for values and experiences of your mentor options, right? You don't need to have a 100% overlap, right? You don't need to find someone that you're trying to clone necessarily, but you want to seek out someone that you have an authentic connection with, that you look up to for whatever reason and how they carry themselves or the path that they've had. There's got to be a genuine, real connection that makes you want to build a relationship with this individual. It's also important to mention that not all mentor relationships are going to be formal, right? So you can have one or two conversations with someone informally, and they may provide you some nuggets or some great information to help you, and that's still mentoring. I think that's an important piece to raise because a lot of us have probably grown up in a more formal or structured type environment where we think, all right, we're going to work together for 6 months. We're going to meet on this cadence, right? And we're going to have to hit these goals in order to be successful. And what I would challenge you to think about is that not every mentoring relationship really needs to be as structured, right? We don't need to hold certain expectations necessarily. It's more important that we stay true to exactly what we're saying here. What are our needs and our vision? And is it worth continuing to invest and build this ongoing relationship? And it's totally okay for you to put things on hold and maybe revisit them down the road, or to say, this isn't the right fit right now, but think about what did I learn from this interaction? So remain flexible and let the connections and the natural evolution of conversations lead your way. A lot of this is trusting the process and that you continue to lean in where you're still curious, right? You may not necessarily have like a manual or a step by step, on when you should start and end, these things, but you've got to trust yourself a little bit and allow things to unfold and learn through experience. So if we advance here to the next slide, right, we're going to build on that first piece about clarifying our vision and really think about how can we thoughtfully gather and review options on who we can work with either as a mentor or a mentee. And I do want to make sure that we hit on both points here since we have interest from both sides of the house and experience from both sides. So as you can see, and probably may have witnessed, you have an amazing resource here at Northwestern University where they have the mentoring network program. I highly encourage you all to take advantage of that. If you don't have a profile already, take some time, take initiative, make that a goal for yourself to fill it out. You are here with like-minded leaders, and you've got a whole large network of folks across all of the various NU programs that are looking to give back and to receive great experiences through this powerful network. So that's a very obvious, option that you can start with. And then you may also have other options, whether it's your company or other organizations where you belong, be it an industry association or maybe any social groups that you've been a part of, whether it's sororities, fraternities, or various, parent groups or whatnot. There's a lot of opportunity. Some may be more formal than others and actually calling it a mentoring program. So be flexible and keep your options open. I also would recommend that you consider seeking out mentors and mentees within your organization as well as externally, right? It can be very easy to keep ourselves in a bubble with who we tend to be surrounded with and the culture that we tend to live and work in. So I would encourage you, right? Find somebody at NU, whether that's inside your organization or not. Find someone at your company, whether it's inside or not, and be open to other opportunities as well. The more diverse of experiences that you can get, the more ideas and options you're going to have so that you can approach your goals with a fresh perspective. And so, right, how can you think about, right, who would be the right option for me, right? That could feel a little daunting, not even knowing where to start. I highly recommend that you think back and reflect on former colleagues, managers, or different contacts that you've worked with and think about who do I look up to, right? Who have I been driven to just in how they carry themselves, how they lead, maybe the way that they've navigated their career. There's probably an element of authenticity that comes with that, right? And how they show up and how they are, who they are. Um, so give that some thought. You can also ask your network for suggestions. If no one comes to mind, or maybe there's a manager you really enjoyed working with in the past, but you just want to meet someone new, go reach out to them and ask. Let them know, hey, these are my visions. These are my goals that I'm working on. Who comes to mind that you think might be able to offer me some perspective? You'd be surprised how many other great ideas they may have to offer you. And then once you've assessed your options and you have an idea of who you want to reach out to, make the ask. And I wanted to provide a real example for this so you could get a taste of what that ask might look like and learn from that experience. So I've changed the name for confidentiality reasons, but I have mentored someone through the NU network. We'll call her Jessica. And she's someone that I coached and mentored through the NU mentoring program, and we've stayed in touch over the years. It's turned into really a two-way street where sometimes we meet up for lunch now, or we'll email each other or have calls periodically. So it's not necessarily a formal, active relationship anymore, but it's one that we've continued to nurture and to support each other along the way. And so, how did that ask look like? Jessica reached out to me directly. She sent a message through the NU platform that she was looking for a formal mentor as soon as possible and that ideally we could meet monthly. She was flexible about how we met, whether that was over phone, Zoom chat, or in person for lunch. This was before the pandemic too. But she was really specific in that email. I could tell she had done her work about what her vision was and what she was seeking. And essentially, she articulated to me that she was looking for guidance, how she could reinvent herself and switch industries. She had her PhD, and she felt that that was a challenge. It was difficult for her to make a switch into other industries. She wanted to get into professional services. Um, and she noticed that I had switched industries several times throughout my career, and that I didn't start my career in HR. So she saw something from my career path, even though I didn't work directly in the function that she was looking to move into. She was able to read my profile, see the path that I took. We were in the similar city as well, so that was an easy connection that we were able to make. And she wanted to learn from my experience and get honest feedback about where she could network, how to present herself. Since I also had experience on the HR side of things, right? What have I seen in other PhD students that have been successful in navigating these types of pivots? So I share that example with you because, I think it's important that you can be as open and honest and vulnerable in what you're looking for so that the other person can better understand, are they the right fit? Are they able to support you on that journey? Or do they have someone else perhaps that they can recommend, right? And so, with that in mind, keep a growth mindset. If someone doesn't respond right away or they can't commit, take the time to reflect. Think about, what am I learning about myself? Or what might I want to focus more on with the next ask? Don't look at it as a failure. Instead, think about, right, what am I gaining from this at bat? Or what am I further learning about myself that I want to move more towards when I seek that next mentor or mentee? And then from right, a mentor standpoint, I would say, think about what you're looking to evolve or what you're wanting to have more of in yourself as a leader. And stay true to yourself with that and also keep an open mind, right? You may surprise yourself. It may not always be as evident on the surface. Some of this is trusting the process and allowing yourself to meet the other individual where they are and to have new experiences. One other thing I wanted to mention here, that might help you make this a little less awkward, is thinking about how you communicate, whether it is to the mentor that you want to work with or the mentee that you're communicating with. There's a very simple framework with 3 steps. It's called the Know, Feel, Do framework that really allows you to tailor your communication to the receiver. It's very easy that we can kind of get stuck in our own view or where we're coming from, and this can help boil it down so that it's a win-win for you and the other person. What is it I want them to know or to learn? What do I want them to walk away with? How do I want them to feel, right? When I'm putting this ask out, do I want them to feel um, like they matter or like they have valuable perspective? What is it I want them to feel? And that can be applicable even if you're respectfully declining, right, the ask. There's a way we can treat people that can still leave a door open for other things in the future. And then what is it I want them to do? Is there a certain action or result that I want them to take? Um, so hopefully you've gotten some great nuggets here to help you in finding the right mentor or mentee. And so let's build on this and talk about the difference between mentoring and sponsoring. I know that's often something that gets misconstrued or just used interchangeably. So let's clear the air here on what it means, right? They are different roles and both can support you in your development and reaching your full potential. There's a chart here. You can scan it, take a closer look at it, and the replay as well if you're interested to see the differences. It really comes down to how these figures show up and what capital or impact they have that can support you in reaching your goals. It's possible that the same person can serve as your mentor and sponsor. It just depends on their role and, right, what decision making capabilities they have. That's, where that comment around capital came, whether it's political capital or resources, opportunities. So it's possible it's the same person, but it's not always the case. It really depends on the relationships they have, their influence, and the credibility and position that they carry. So very high level, a mentor is going to help you develop. It's going to be a place to explore, to think about possibilities, and to encourage your advancement and brainstorming of different possibilities. On the flip side, a sponsor, they're going to have more actual capital and relationships to physically make things happen, right? So the sponsor is going to be in the room when the conversations are had to make assignments, to provide project opportunities, or to talk about perhaps succession planning and promotions, right? So it's just a different level of how they are able to support you in what you're after. And I included a little cartoon here just to help, add a little bit of fun and laughter. So you've got the mentorship one saying, have you tried applying to speak at conferences and meetups already? Right. So it's more exploratory, getting you to think about possibilities. And then the sponsorship part of the cartoon is, I recommended you for this speaking gig. Can you do it? Right. So I just thought that was a really nice illustrative example of how they can both support you, right, on the same goals that you have, but in different capacities, depending on the role that they're playing and the different authority, and roles that they may have. So let's talk a little bit about best practices, and then we'll have some time for Q&A as well. So let's bring back that coaching approach that I talked about earlier on. So important that all of us show up with more coach-like mentalities. So I included some examples here for both the mentee and the mentor perspective. Anyone can be more coach-like. It's not just the mentor that's asking questions, because questions allow more possibility. They allow more exploration, and it's a way of saying, I don't have the answer necessarily. I want to keep learning. I'm curious. So, under both, I've recommended that you ask powerful, open ended questions. Not all questions are created equally, but the most powerful, open ended questions, right? They're not going to give a yes no response. That's probably the obvious one that you remember if you've heard of open ended questions. Um, but they're going to start with stems like what if, or how, or what, versus why can be a little more poking, or it may create a defensive response or be too direct or forceful if you don't already have the relationship with someone. So a few examples of powerful questions that you can ask. What if it all works out? What if you get offers for both of the jobs you are interviewing for? How will you respond? And then another one, how do you want to feel at the end of the interview or that important discussion with your manager? So as you can see here, you have power with the questions that you ask and how you interact to have more meaningful conversations and to help others think more deeply, to build self-awareness and help them better understand how they want to show up or how they can have more impact in reaching the goals that they're looking for. Got some other great examples here as well. We've touched on a few of them, but I would reiterate, underscore, being vulnerable and willing to go below the surface is huge. So really being able to be real, right? Not just stating I want a promotion, but be able to pull back the onion and share what about that promotion is meaningful to you. What values are you looking to uncover? What's that going to bring for you? How's that going to fill your cup? The more both sides, the mentee and the mentor, can have that authentic relationship and listen without judgment, the more you're going to be able to meet each other where you are and to gain new positive, impactful mindsets and perspectives so that you can tackle things, get out of your own way, and have more success. So let's move into part two of the best practices. This is around co designing the mentoring relationship. And some of this might feel very common sense, but it's not always common practice, right? Or it doesn't always happen, or it might feel silly to have to even talk about these things. But I would urge you to make space for it early on. And by co designing, creating together, really having that agreement up front, you're going to be able to achieve greater results and be able to move at a faster pace to work together through the goals of the mentoring relationship. So, discuss those goals together and decide if there's a mutual fit, like we mentioned earlier on. That can be a discussion, it could be over email, depending on how much information is provided. There's a lot of flexibility here. But don't just agree and sign up because, right, you want to be a mentor, or you liked what you saw on this person's LinkedIn profile. Take the time to vet it and make sure it's going to be a win-win for both. And if it doesn't end up being the right fit, like we've said before, don't force the relationship. Instead, reflect. What can you take from there? And keep that in mind as you continue advancing and looking for more mentors or mentees. And then it's really important that you align early on how that mentoring relationship is going to work, right? So you can discuss these elements together. Be flexible that things may change throughout the relationship, but make sure that you talk through and come up with a plan that's going to work for both parties. The mentee is typically going to drive the agenda and the discussion. So mentors, keep that in mind. A lot of your job is listening and allowing the mentee to lead, and then mirroring back or asking questions to help them get deeper with where they're trying to go. And then the last thing I mention here is to conduct a closure session. Once your goals are formally met, or if you're deciding to conclude the relationship, there are phenomenal resources in the NU mentoring site. So check that out. They've got guides and different things to help you out. You may have similar with your company or other organizations that you're working through. But this is often overlooked, and it's so important that we take the time to reflect. We share back, right? What did we gain from this? Where are we going from here? What support might you need going forward, whether that is from the person in the mentoring relationship or somewhere else? Thinking about how you can sustain that progress or what might be needed to redirect the individual. So we have two slides coming up here that I'm just going to quickly hit on because I want to make sure that we leave time for Q&A. But two slides here that you can go back on, take a closer look at when you have time. This first one is what you can discuss in the mentoring relationship. If you've never done it before, or you're just, feeling like it's getting a little stale or not as exciting anymore, these are some great ideas to keep things fresh, maybe help you have a broader perspective on what's possible. So check this out. And allow yourself to have fun, get creative, right? Try something on here that maybe you've never done before. See what you might gain from it. Mix things up a little bit. And then on this next slide, how can you be a stellar mentee or mentor? So, right, what types of things can you do to really make this matter and to even surpass maybe that goal that you set for yourself and why you're entering this mentee or mentoring relationship? We've talked about it on some of these other slides, but in both roles, so important to be your authentic self, right? And um, I think that's where most meaningful mentoring relationships come. It doesn't have to look a certain way or check certain boxes, but when you're comfortable standing in your own shoes and sharing your experiences, just being yourself and trusting that your own style or what you're curious about matters, that's going to make the connection even deeper. So feel free to visit these and to review them with the replay if helpful. Want to make sure that we have a chance just to open it up for some Q&A. And I really appreciate all of you being so engaged and sharing throughout this lively discussion today. I can't believe how quickly it went.
Debbie, first of all, thank you so much for doing this. This was just a great presentation, and we had over 100 people here. And I just want to thank everyone in the audience in the chat. To me, this is really this is takes a lot of bravery and a lot of mental um, character to become a mentor or a mentee. So thank you, everyone, just for staying engaged. I think this really speaks to the quality of our alumni. I want to make sure we get the time to go over some of the Q&A that we have. And I also want to say, I know we saw a couple people with hands raised. I apologize that we're not really able to get to those during the presentation, just as we're live. So I want to make sure that those folks have a chance to enter in their questions as well. But if anyone has questions, please feel free to add them to the Q&A. I want to start with a few, Debbie, that we received before this. And I want to start with this one because I think this is a fascinating question and one that I sort of struggled with as you were speaking. So we had someone submit this anonymously, and they said, I've had many relationships throughout my career where I was both a mentor and a mentee. And now that I'm retired, essentially I have a lot of time on my hands. How do I advertise myself as a mentor without pushing it on someone?
Mm, yeah. One, I think that's incredible, to want to give back and to recognize you have that capacity and that there, right, is a balance to seek there, right, and putting yourself out there. So, I would encourage you to think about yourself and where you want to give back, right? Are there certain experiences that you've had, whether it's certain industries that you've been a part of, or um, certain roles that you've played or things that you've navigated, and perhaps you can look for opportunities to connect with industry association groups or to get in front of folks that may be at a certain point in their career that are hungry for that, right? Look for that win-win opportunity where there's already an audience and you can meet them where they are. Um, and if there is, a safe place or a connection that you have, even if they're not at that level or place in their career, being comfortable sharing where you want to give back and what you want to give back on, there may be some connectors that manage or work with or on projects with folks, right, that are experiencing exactly what it is that you're looking to connect with and give back on. But both of you just don't know how to reach each other, right? So think about connectors, whether it's people or organizations that can help make those connections come to life and make it more natural. Um, but also, another tangible step that you can consider is just getting very specific in your profile with NU, with the mentoring program, to share those areas that you feel you can make a difference on.
We have another question that just came through. I'm a student and have been on many coffee chats and lunches with people I would like to be my mentors. I struggle to find the line between a formal request and an assumption that there's a relationship there. So how might one ask for a continued mentor relationship if they're not sure?
Yeah. This is interesting, right? Because we've probably all heard, that there's a handful of mentoring relationships where you don't even necessarily have the formal ask. It just kind of happens. So I would say a bit of this is trusting yourself and knowing yourself and the other person and allowing it to unfold where it feels natural for you. And there's no right or wrong approach to it. If you feel that asking more formally is going to help you or build more confidence or knowing, the other individual and what they have on their plate, a more formal ask may be more relevant. But if you have the rapport and you already have some momentum building, you may not need to make as formal of an ask. I would say to really think about what's your relationship with the other person? What kind of interactions have you had? What kind of communication style, have you noticed about them? And, make a decision and learn from it. And if it doesn't work out for whatever reason, like ask for some feedback too. Like I think that's another thing we may not have necessarily hit on, But anytime you have a mentoring relationship with someone or you're asking, don't be afraid to ask for some feedback along the way. I think that other person would be more than willing to share in service of helping you. And if they don't have anything to share, don't sweat it. Move on to the next.
We have two questions here, and I'll do my best to sort of combine them because I think they're somewhat related. One of them coming from someone, I think this is a great question, who's looking for sort of guidance or someone to connect with regarding a startup, which I think is a great question because obviously if it's a startup, you might not have those built-in industry connections. And then similarly, someone asks, what if you don't have a clear sense of what specific job you want, and you're hoping that a mentor can help you discern that? So maybe to summarize, finding a mentor who maybe doesn't have that direct industry connection, or if you're starting your own industry, how would you go about that?
Yeah. Wow. Those are great questions. And I think amazing for being brave and being willing to step out and explore in areas that you may not have experience in. I know I keep pulling us back to the NU mentoring platform, but right, look, has someone studied entrepreneurship? Are they a founder? Are there certain companies or startups that you're looking to target? Maybe you can loosen up a little bit on when you say startup, what is it that you're looking for? Are you looking for someone that's worked in technology or in Silicon Valley, right? That may have experience, even if they don't work directly in a startup, maybe they provide services or solutions to people that work in those types of companies. So think more broadly on who's interacted with these types of groups or brainstorm, what do I really mean when I say that? And then just start looking, seeing what's out there, seeing what kind of reception you may have. And again, if you can get more clear with your vision on what it is that you're looking for, you're gonna find a faster click or way to success or a redirect to someone they might know that might have an even more similar or helpful experience to help you grow.
So I
These are
think we
amazing
probably
questions.
Yeah, aren't these great questions? This is
Yeah.
we've got a great alumni base. So thanks everyone again for participating throughout this. First of all, I want to thank you, Debbie, again for being here and for giving a nice little pitch to our mentorship program. We're certainly not going to complain about that. I think we've probably got time for maybe one or two more questions. So if anybody has any burning questions, please feel free to add them in that Q&A box. And then if you have any outstanding questions, feel free to reach out to us at careers@northwestern.edu. We'd be happy to help. I'm gonna wrap up with this one unless we've got any other ones. Somebody asks, how do you find the values and experience of potential mentors if you don't interact with them regularly? Or if, let's say, as an aspirational mentor, you'd love to connect with, but you don't maybe have a connection with them already?
Yeah. That is such a great question, right? Because it's a little bit of a gamble. It's like the chicken and the egg. Well, I haven't worked with them before. How should I know? The reality is it is a little bit of a gamble, right? But there are cues that are out there, depending on the type of experience this person has, right? Maybe they have some information in their LinkedIn profile or their NU profile or based on the career path that they've taken or different things they may have shared, whether it's posts or um, thought leadership that they have worked on, articles that they've written. I would probably just think more broadly to what's out there that they have communicated or that you can glean from their experience. And also recognize, yeah, you're not going to get a 100% full picture and that it may require a conversation, right, or email to see if that fit is there. And that's okay too, right? That's an opportunity for you to learn and to dig more and to ask more questions. Um, but try to have some type of connection with something that you're genuinely interested in, and then be willing to trust the process and ask and stay curious and see where that fit might go.
Well, Debbie, this has been phenomenal. And I know we're at time. So thank you again for presenting. Everyone, again, you're going to receive the recording to this as well as some great resource links that Debbie has provided to us in that post-event survey. So thank you, everyone, for being here. Again, if you have any outstanding questions, please make sure to reach out to us. Thanks so much, everyone. Go Cats.
Thanks.